Hey there, guys. It's Nick, the ASMR nerd, and welcome to another episode of Relaxing Reviews. So, there are a variety of reasons why I choose to review the products that I do here on the channel. Sometimes I'll choose a product because I think it'll make nice ASMR sounds for you. Certainly, mechanical keyboards fall into that category. Other times, I'll choose a product because I think it's something that will be of particular interest to you guys or of particular use to you guys as an ASMR listener audience. For example, the low profile true wireless Bluetooth earbuds that I've reviewed in past. But every once in a while, there's a product that I review here simply because I'm interested in checking it out. And I think that it's something that you guys might be interested in as well. Of course, I do want to keep the channel topical and relevant, but today's product is not something that I think is especially suited to ASMR viewers in particular. I just think it's an interesting product in general, and it certainly piqued my interest. So today we're looking at the Edifier TWS True Wireless Earbuds. And Edifier is probably the biggest audio company that you've never heard of, assuming you've not heard of Edifier. It's not as common a name or as well known a name as something like, Sennheiser or Sony in the world of audio products, but nevertheless, Edifier has been quietly making high quality, good value audio products since the 90s. And amongst audiophiles and audio enthusiasts, they actually have a really good reputation. And I've used a number of Edifier products in past, mostly speakers, and I've always come away quite impressed. So when Edifier contacted me about checking out their new line of true wireless Bluetooth earbuds, I was really keen. I was really interested. So today, like I said, we're looking at Edifier's TWS5 wireless earbuds. They come with a whole list of impressive specs. They use, for instance, Bluetooth 5.0, which is the latest revision. They have IPX water resistance and splash resistance rating. They have 8 hours, evidently, of battery life, which is quite high for true wireless earbuds, and a whole list of other things. So I was really curious to check these buds out. The one thing I don't think they're going to be good for, and I could be wrong about this, I'm going to test them out, but I don't think they're going to be good for listening to ASMR in bed. Specifically because they are bigger, chunkier looking earbuds. They're not really low profile. And this is the price that you pay for getting the larger batteries in for that longer battery life, that 8+ hour battery life. Nevertheless, I will test them out. We will see if they are appropriate for instance, side sleepers listening to ASMR in bed. But more interesting to me is the audio quality at the price point. So the TWS5 are available for $80 US, and that puts them in that right in that sweet spot on the sort of price to performance curve, because as you probably know, as you pay more and more money for audio products, you typically experience diminishing returns in terms of audio quality. But right around that sort of $80 to $100 US price point is a real value sweet spot where you get a lot of bang for your buck. You've sort of stepped up out of the budget range into that solid mid-range where you can expect really exceptional audio quality, but you're not yet breaking the bank. And given Edifier's reputation and my good experiences with them in past, I'm really keen to check out the audio quality on the TWS5 buds that we have here. So if you're interested in picking up these buds, of course, there is a link down in the video description where you can check them out. And there's also a discount code down there for you guys that will save you 15% off the TWS5 should you choose to purchase them. But for now, of course, we're going to take a look. You probably want to know how they are before you consider that purchase, right? So Edifier kindly sent over a set for us to look at here today, and that is exactly what we're going to do. So without further ado, let's take a closer look at Edifier's TWS5 True Wireless Bluetooth Earbuds. And here we have Edifier's TWS5 in box. And it's a pretty nice looking box, I would say. It's made of a solid cardboard. The front is kind of a matte neutral color here. And then the product is in a glossy finish. And it says right here, TWS5 in shiny lettering. Truly wireless stereo earbuds. Bluetooth logo. I've noticed that the less expensive Bluetooth earbuds that I've reviewed, they tend to shy away from using the Bluetooth branding, and I wonder if there's some kind of licensing fees associated with putting the Bluetooth branding on your product that they're trying to avoid paying or something. I'm not sure, but anyway, this one proudly sports the Bluetooth logo. Up here, the Edifier logo. Edifier, more than sound. That's what it says. On the bottom, we've got all kinds of technical info, I guess. FCC statements. This particular box is obviously for sale in Canada, so it's got all the Canadian certifications. Around the side here, it's advertising Qualcomm aptX, which is I think a lossy compression and transmission algorithm that's been around for a very long time, and it's used in all kinds of professional wireless broadcast equipment, but also supported by some Bluetooth headsets and headphones and things, but not all. I don't know if it offers especially better sound than other transmission formats, but like other codecs, but they seem to be advertising it pretty prominently for this product, so I guess it's considered a selling point. I don't know. Then down the side here, we have some basic information. It says what? 8 hours of playback time per charge, which is actually really impressive, honestly. The Bluetooth earbuds, the truly wireless Bluetooth earbuds that I've reviewed before, come in around 4 hours battery life. I think Apple's AirPods come in around 5, so 8. 8's a lot for TWS earbuds. A composite biodiaphragm, which is Edifier's fancy technology for their drivers. I don't really know anything about it other than what is said on their website, but we'll see if it's actually, if it pays dividends in terms of sound quality. Well, Edifier does know sound, so I have high hopes. Bluetooth version 5.0, the latest version of Bluetooth, so it should have a stronger connection over a longer range, and it should use less power, which is great. And IPX5 splash and dust resistant. That is not waterproof, that is splash resistant. You could probably get them a bit wet or sweaty and it would be fine, but they shouldn't be submerged. And these ones are in black. I don't know if it comes in other colors, but I presume it must. On the back, Probably similar information, lots of tech specs, picture of the product. It says, yes, English, has English, French, Spanish, and Portuguese on the back. It says here 8 hours playback time per charging. The charging case can charge 3 times. So you get the initial 8 and then an additional 3 recharges. That's pretty good. My math is correct. That's 32 hours of playback time. Bluetooth 5.0 with Qualcomm aptX TM. Touch controls for easy operation. You can see it's got a touch-sensitive surface there. And each earbud can be programmed to work independently or as a pair. So you can have one earbud as a mono speaker. I don't know why you would, but I guess if you just wanted one, you could. Bluetooth profiles that are supported. It says HFP, HSP, A2DP, and AVRCP. Honestly, I've read a bit about this, but I don't understand. I don't know enough about the distinctions between Bluetooth protocols or profiles, but I think it's all different ways of compressing and transmitting your audio data. And some support different kinds of dynamic quality adjustments and things like that. Frequency response, 20 Hz to 20 kilohertz. That is totally typical. That is from, without outside the range of human hearing on the low end to outside the range of human hearing on the high end. 102 decibel sensitivity, 16 ohms impedance, and input power 5 volts, 500 milliamps. That's just via probably a micro USB connection, I would guess. Maybe USB Type-C. Okay, so that's the box. Pretty straightforward, but lots of information. Looks nice and reasonably premium. Let's see what's inside. Like I said, nice thick cardboard. And actually has a nice foam surface in here, which I don't think I can really show you very well, but it's in there. It's just a black foam. Okay. And inside we have a fairly nice presentation. Interestingly, the buds do not come in the pack or the battery case here. They come separately, kind of placed here in a way that looks very nice. There's some fabric in there, sort of keep them seated nicely. And we've got our battery case here, and then presumably accessories down here. Let's pull out the buds and take a closer look. Okay, so here's that touch surface. That's where you'll press to control these things. The housing is a glossy black plastic that's already starting to pick up fingerprints. That's gonna get pretty smudgy pretty quick. That's all around. We've got contacts for charging in the battery case. We have a little R, you can see, to indicate this is the right ear. We have a silicone tip. The default one's actually quite small. Probably I'll need to get a larger one, but I think it comes with 3 pairs of replaceable tips. And you can see the housing is kind of molded to the ear. It's got some contouring to it. It's a little hard to show on camera, but especially since it's all black and shiny. but it's pretty chonky, pretty big compared to other Bluetooth earbuds I've reviewed, true wireless earbuds. This one sort of sits in the outer ear, it looks like, and takes up a good chunk of your ear space there. So it'll be interesting to see if this is comfortable. And as I said in the intro, I don't necessarily expect it to be good for sleeping in bed, like for side sleepers, because it is so chunky, but we'll see. I'll try it out, of course, in the name of science, and providing you guys with some good information. But yeah, I expect it'll be a little too bulky for good side sleeper listening. On the upside, this touch surface is a matte texture, so at least the place that you're touching is not glossy. They had the good sense to do that. So it shouldn't pick up fingerprints too bad. And of course the Edifier logo is there. Just all plastic construction. It's got a bit of weight to it. I wouldn't say it's heavy, but it feels acceptably dense, I suppose. I do like the presentation here. It does make it feel a little more premium. Having them in these little recessed spots rather than packed away in the box, although they could have saved on packaging by putting the earbuds in the battery case. But I want to make it feel like you're getting something special. This one says L on it, of course, for the left ear. Otherwise, pretty identical. I assume there must be LEDs on here somewhere, but I don't know where. Oh, and there's actually a little microphone there. I don't know if you can see that. It's there. Can you see that? Come on. It's like right above my finger. It's very small. Okay. Let's take a look at this battery case. Oh, this is cute. Check it. Okay, there's like a little tab here, and you lift it out. So we're like, oop, like a little, I don't know. I'm not sure what it reminds me of. It's kind of cute though. Very simple. It's just a strip of paper. Edifier name and logo on the top of the battery case. The whole battery case is a matte plastic with this kind of dark gray finish. It looks nice. Again, no metal to be seen. It's big though. This is pretty chunky, especially compared to some of the other earbuds I've reviewed. This is pretty big, but I guess since they have an 8-hour battery capacity and they want to recharge it at least 3 times, you need a pretty chunky battery. LEDs, it looks like, on the front, probably for charging status. USB 2, micro USB connection on the back. A little disappointed it's not USB Type-C, but some information on the bottom, certifications, input, voltages, made in China, all that stuff. Pop it open. So the top has a nice sort of snap shut to it. Magnetic closure, I assume, feels like. And then 2 little recesses, also glossy, for the earbuds with charging contacts, labeled L and R. And actually, oh, that's nice. You can see the top features these foamy recesses that will probably make the earbuds feel very secure when they're in there. Let's find out. Okay, so this has got a magnetic closure too. You can, or not closure, but magnetic socket, I guess. You could see the light was on there to indicate it was charging, and you can see it doesn't fall out when I invert it. So these just kind of sit in there, charging LEDs on. And you can see the battery case. I think that flashing LED is probably telling me that it needs to be charged up. There's probably not much in there in terms of power. So that's that. Again, feels pretty fairly dense. The plastic feels of high quality, although again it is all plastic. No metal to be found in this product. Not on the exterior anyway. There's a little bit of a shame because for an $80 product you kind of like to see some nice little premium flourishes, maybe a little bit of metal or aluminum here or there, but no such luck here. Alright, let's see if we can get out this little accessory pack. Just a little plastic molding pops out. You can see those little fabric strips that sort of padded the earbuds in there. Looks nice, but it's kind of superfluous, since I'll probably never put the earbuds back in this box again. Anyway. Got some literature here. And we've got accessories pack, which is just a little black cardboard box here. And I expect it will contain some tips, silicone tips, and a charging cable. That's everything. Otherwise, it is a completely empty box. Take a quick peek here. Edifier FCC regulatory compliance. In case you doubted them. Edifier. Oh, register now for your limited warranty. Okay, what kind of warranty do we get here? Oh my gosh, so many languages. Maybe this is an international package then. Stop. If you ever consider returning this product, contact us first at edifier.com/support. Register now for your limited warranty. It doesn't say how long. That's frustrating, but I would assume it's a year. Although again, on more expensive models like this, it would be nice if it were longer. I will attempt to find out. We'll follow that link, and I will try and remember to let you guys know in the summary and conclusion. Okay, so there's the contents, which is exactly what we've seen so far, except we have not seen the tips or the charge cable yet. It tells us there is a multifunctional LED on the outside of each ear there. Talks about charging, power on off. They automatically turn on when you take them out of the case, and they automatically pair to one another and to the last item they were paired to, which is great. The last, media device. Call mode, music playback mode, FAQs. Seems pretty straightforward. Maintenance. Keep away from humidity, etc. Try not to drop them. And I don't see anything about a warranty in here. Oh, no. To guarantee your personal safety. Do not use them near pacemakers. Weird. Okay, it must be to do with the Bluetooth somehow. Now we've got Chinese, French, other languages in here. I think these are just warnings in other languages. Qualcomm aptX. Nope, just trademark stuff. I thought maybe it would explain to us what the big deal is, but no. Yeah, well. Alright. Last but not least. Ear tips. Another 2 pairs for a total of 3. Looks like they have the small ones installed by default, but should be easy enough to change it out for the medium ones, which I think is what I will need to use. And a very tiny little charging cable, as is often the case with these earbuds. Just a little micro USB charging cable, probably 12 inches long if that. And that's it. Nothing else in there. So, very basic package, really nothing to distinguish it from cheaper models except for a little bit of the presentation. So I'm hoping it distinguishes itself in terms of its performance, both its connection, stability, battery life, and of course sound quality. So that's what I'm going to test. I'm going to use these daily for a while now, and I will put them through the ringer, and we will see how they are. We'll reconvene back here after I've done so, where I'll run down the pros, the cons, and my final verdict on the Edifier TWS5. And here we are again. So I've had an extensive testing period with the Edifier TWS5. I've used them for weeks now, pretty much every day at work. And I've had the opportunity to form some opinions on them. So let's just have a little casual chat about the Edifier TWS5. Let's start with the battery case. I think it's a good case. It is very functional. It's a little chunky, but not unreasonable. I like these little LEDs that it has. They are to indicate the charge level. We did see them in the unboxing. If I open this up, you see they illuminate. So they're activated by the hinge. Close them. So they will blink as the battery case is charging when you have it plugged in. And each little LED basically indicates one charge of the earbuds, one full charge. So that's kind of a handy way of keeping track of how much more time you have left on those earbuds and the charge case. It's matte black plastic, which is nice. It feels very solid. It does not pick up fingerprints, which is great. One thing I'm not crazy about with the charging case is that micro USB connector on the back. Because let's be honest, it's 2019, guys. I've had a USB Type-C connector on my phone for like at least 2 years now. Heck, the Nintendo Switch has a USB Type-C charger, and you know when Nintendo is using something, it's time for everyone else to get on board, because they are not typically really quick adopters of new standards. So I would really prefer to see a USB Type-C charging connector on this case. Nevertheless, the battery life of the case itself is quite substantial, and of course that magnetic system for holding those buds in there works quite nicely. Now, while I enjoyed the matte material of the case, I'm less crazy about the construction of the buds themselves. As we saw earlier, they're a black glossy plastic, and that black glossy plastic is more or less just as bad as you would expect in terms of picking up fingerprints and scratches and just getting really mucky. I can even feel right now they're kind of slippery. And in fact, it does make them a little bit difficult to adjust in the ears sometimes. Just getting any purchase on that black plastic is a bit tricky. And that's an important thing, because getting the right fit with these buds is critical. We'll talk about that a little bit later on here, because I do have some things to say about that. But in terms of build quality, they're pretty light. They sit in the ear pretty well. They're comfortable for the most part. But yeah, that black glossy plastic, not great. The touch controls on the upside are in a matte, so they at least had a matte plastic they at least had the good sense to make the surface that you're going to be touching most frequently a matte plastic. I just don't understand why they didn't use that for the entire bud. Speaking of the touch controls, they do work. You can pause a song, play a song. You can skip forward and backward. You can answer calls, hang up calls, reject calls, all that kind of stuff. The one thing that you can't do with the touch controls, which would be nice to be able to do, is you can't adjust volume. So you have to go to your device to adjust the volume. Now that's been the case with every pair of true wireless earbuds that I've used thus far, but I would really like to see hardware volume control or some kind of touch-based volume control on the earbuds themselves. That would be preferable. I also found the touch controls to be pretty sensitive, maybe too sensitive. I found myself accidentally pausing music just by brushing the earbuds. And that's because these buds, they require just like a single press, basically. A single press, or even just a light caress to activate the touch controls. What I would prefer to see, and what I have seen in some other earbuds that I've used in past, is you have to long press or double tap to activate anything. And that's my preference because it cuts down significantly on the number of accidental presses. Nevertheless, the touch controls were at least pretty functional despite being so sensitive. I talked about the battery life of the case and how many charges you get out of it. You get 3 solid charges of the buds from the case, which is great. The earbuds themselves have exceptional battery life. They advertise 8 hours or so, and I actually think that it's probably a little longer. I think that's a fairly conservative estimate. I use these buds every day at work for many weeks, from basically start to end of my work day. Granted, in between, I would, like if I was taking a break for lunch or going to a meeting or something, I would usually pop them into the charging case. But I never ran out of battery over the course of a workday, and I would just bring home the case and charge it every few days. And I didn't once hit the battery life. I never exhausted these buds, so I don't actually know exactly how long the battery is. I did not do a timed battery life test, but I'm going to say it's at least 8 hours. And for most practical purposes, for your average day of use, they're going to get you through, which is great because other buds I've used in past have only about half that battery life. So that's definitely one of the strongest points of these earbuds. Let's talk connectivity briefly here. As you know, you open up the case like this, you pull out the buds, you pop them in your ears, and they basically pair immediately within a second or two. You get a little kind of ding sound effect in your ears that indicates that the buds are paired with one another, and they will very rapidly pair with the last Bluetooth device they're paired to as well. They didn't pair now because I don't have Bluetooth turned on my phone right now, but it's usually a matter of seconds for them to pair to one another and then to your Bluetooth device, and they do that very reliably. I don't think I've ever had them fail to do so, maybe once or something, but if that is an issue, you just put them back in the case, pull them back out, and they will repair. No problems there. I found that the actual Bluetooth connection quality and strength with these buds was very, very good. I was, in fact, really impressed, and I gathered that they use a modern protocol called TWS Plus, something plus, TWS Stereo Plus, I don't know, something like that, which means that actually either of the buds, the left bud or the right bud, can work as a Bluetooth transmitter and receiver, which means that you have, 2 opportunities to maintain a connection, and either one can be used independently as a lone bud. So if you just want to have one earbud in, you can do that with either the left or the right bud, which is good. Less advanced models of TWS earbuds will have sort of a master bud, which will connect to your Bluetooth device, and then the other bud will connect to that master. That's not the case here. Either one can be used independently, and either one can carry that connection to your Bluetooth device. All of this is to say that I put my phone in my kitchen, which is like 30 feet or so that way, and I took these for a walk around the suite that I live in, and they didn't once drop a connection. I did get a little bit of chop, a couple of little hiccups when I was basically at the far end of the suite from my kitchen, and that was through a couple of walls. I intentionally went and stood in a corner to put as much material between me and my phone as possible, but I was actually unable to completely break the connection with these buds. So very strong, very stable connection on these earbuds. And I should point out that is using Bluetooth 4.2, I guess, because my phone does not support Bluetooth 5.0. In fact, I don't have any devices that support Bluetooth 5.0, which means that I wasn't able to test that particular functionality of these buds. But of course, they're backwards compatible, and even on the slightly older Bluetooth standard, the connection was still very strong, very stable, and it always picked up that connection right away. And I don't think, through all of my listening over the course of many weeks now, I don't think I've had them drop connection once. So really can't complain about the connectivity on these buds. The only thing that I will mention, is that there is some Bluetooth latency, which is pretty typical. I've actually yet to use any Bluetooth audio product that doesn't have at least a bit of latency. I found that it varied from pretty mild, noticeable but mild, up to moderate, to the point where it starts to get a little bit annoying. If you're listening to music primarily, not such an issue. If you're watching a lot of video, maybe it becomes more of a problem, because if you start to see, for instance, lips go out of sync with the audio, that's annoying. Or, for competitive gaming, I wouldn't necessarily recommend these for competitive gaming, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend any Bluetooth products for competitive gaming where latency is an issue, because there's always some latency in the Bluetooth stack. And I did find that it really varied by device that I had them connected to. Not a lot of latency when they're connected to my smartphone, significantly more when they were connected to my PC via a USB Bluetooth dongle. So your mileage may vary when it comes to Bluetooth latency. Of course, none of this would really matter if these earbuds didn't sound good, and I am happy to report that sound quality is one of the great strengths of this product. In terms of frequency response, the bass is very present, very confident, even quite forward, I would say, with good extension down to the lower register, without being overbearing. It's overall, like I said, quite forward but controlled. The mids, although they're a little bit scooped, they do come through very smooth, very detailed, and the treble is very bright, has tendency towards the dry side a little bit, but lots of detail there, lots of clarity, and it's never harsh, which is very, very important for me. The overall sound character I would describe as very, very clear, nicely detailed. Great clarity is what stands out to me with these buds, with nice, strong, controlled low-end support. Specifically, actually, I found voices to sound very, very appealing and natural with these buds, and acoustic instruments came through very nicely. Again, very natural, very clear, lots of detail. They might not be the product for bass heads. If you really want a lot of thump, you might want to look elsewhere, but for a well-balanced but still interesting sounding set of buds that comes out generally quite natural sounding, these guys are great out of the box. I myself, I listen to a lot of metal, I listen to a lot of electronic music, a lot of powerful stuff, and they were totally serviceable for that out of the box, but I like a little more drama and excitement in my sound. So I did EQ them a bit, and they were totally up to the challenge. I was able to bring out some more punch in the bassiness and punch in sort of those high middle ranges to really make that music pop. And they did so quite capably without any audible distortion or anything like that. So if you do want to EQ them to pull out some more bass, pull out some more punch, you absolutely can do that as well. In terms of volume, they are not the loudest earbuds I've ever used. In fact, they're on the quiet side. I usually ran them between 70 and 80% volume on my smartphone, which is pretty high. I usually run other sets of Bluetooth buds around the 50% point. So they are a little quieter. There's not a lot of headroom there if you do want to pump them up louder, but I imagine that at 90 or 100% volume, you're going to be damaging your ears still. So I think for most practical purposes, they do get loud enough. There is a little tiny bit of audible Bluetooth hiss in the background, that very low level white noise that you tend to get with Bluetooth products, but it is so insignificant. These are probably the quietest Bluetooth buds that I've heard in terms of that white noise background Bluetooth hiss, which is excellent. You don't want to hear that, of course, especially if you're listening to quieter content like ASMR or like, quiet solo passages in classical music or something like that. And I did listen to a wide variety of music on these. I always put them through, Bluetooth buds or any audio products I'm testing. I always put them through a wide range of different audio tests. I listen to, rock and metal. I listen to electronic music. I listen to pop music and hip hop music. I listen to acoustic folk. I listen to classical music. A whole range of things to try and really suss out the audio characteristics. And these did a great job with all of them. Like I said, the real standout point for me with these was out of the box the exceptional clarity and detail, especially through the mids and highs. This is something that I didn't feel I got out of cheaper Bluetooth earbuds that I've reviewed. So if you're willing to spend up a little bit, you do get an exceptional audio experience out of these buds, and they do EQ nicely as well if you want to be able to play around with them, make them a little bit more exciting, bring a bit more drama into their sound signature. But the out-of-the-box listening experience and sound signature is very pleasant, very clear, nicely detailed. All this, however, comes with one big caveat, and that is that you only get that excellent sound quality when you get the fit just right. Now, overall, the comfort and fit of these buds is really good. I'll pull one out here and we'll take another look. You can see that the individual buds, the surface is contoured to really fit the ear nicely. And I found that they do. They fit my ear really nicely. I pop them in like this, and then I just kind of rotate them into position, and they sit in there really snugly. Maybe a little too snugly. They instantly get a full seal when I'm using the medium-sized ear tips, and I did try all the ear tips, and the medium fit me the best, certainly. I instantly get that seal in my ear canal, which normally is a good thing. You want a full seal on your earbuds to get the best sound quality out of them. However, with the TWS5, when I get that full seal, which as I said happens very easily, I just pop them in and it seals almost instantly. When I get that full seal, it's like it's plugging my ear and there's suction there. It actually hurts a little bit to tug on it. And I think that's because it's an entirely enclosed design. There's nowhere for air to enter or exit the housing of the earbud. And when I get that sort of suctioning full seal, the audio quality is actually really poor. And I think that's because there's no room for the air to resonate. It's all just kind of suctioned in there. And so the dynamic range reduces dramatically. It gets a lot quieter, kind of muffled sounding. And it really doesn't sound that good. And so what I found I had to do to get the best audio quality out of these was to get that nice seal and then just lift up on them slightly to actually break the seal, and let a little bit of air in there, because then there's a little more room for resonance, and that's when the bass comes to life. The treble sparkles and it sounds really, really nice. Otherwise, when I have that full seal, it actually sounds really flat and really not good at all. So it took me a little while to figure that out. And at first I was like, what is going on here? It took me a bit of fiddling. And so now this could be an issue that's specific to me. I don't really know. I did look online a little bit to see if anybody else was having these issues. I watched a couple of reviews on YouTube and read what a few people were saying, and nobody else brought up this issue. So I'm like, am I taking crazy pills? I don't know. It could just be something about the shape or size of my ears, my ear canal. I'm not quite sure. But the challenge with it for me is that I can put them in, I get that seal immediately, lift up on it, break that seal, but as I'm wearing them over time, just through, movements of my head or my jaw, that moves the earbud a little bit, they tend to settle back down into that fully sealed position. And so I found over the course of the day, I was frequently having to adjust them, just tug up on them a little bit to break that seal. It's not a deal breaker for me, clearly not, because I still have been using them at work every day, and it's been quite pleasant, and I will, quite frankly, I will continue using these buds because they're the best sounding wireless earbuds I've ever used. But it's an annoyance for sure. I just wish I could pop them in and forget about it. And as I mentioned, I've never had this problem with other earbuds, and I'm not sure if it's to do with my ears or to do with the sort of sealed off design of the housing on these buds. But again, take it with a grain of salt, I guess. This was my personal experience. Nobody else online seems to be complaining about it, so maybe I'm just a weird edge case. It's difficult to say. But I did want to make sure that you were aware that, for me at least, I had issues with sort of finicky fit, getting them to sit just right. And I guess the fallout from that is that, for me, I can't really use these for exercise. I couldn't take them on a jog or use them in the gym because they just fall right back into that fully sealed position, and the audio quality goes to crap. And so if I'm seated or, on a bus or at my desk at work or at my computer here at home or just going for a walk, it's not a problem. But any kind of intense physical activity for me is difficult with these buds because they just fall back into that fully sealed position, which doesn't work for me. So anyway, that was a lot of talking. I just wanted to make sure you were aware of that issue that I ran into. One other thing I want to mention about these buds, just one. Microphone audio quality, not great. It's fine. It's totally serviceable. It comes as no surprise that it isn't excellent. I don't think I've ever run into a Bluetooth headset or earbuds or anything that ever had good microphone quality. It just seems to be the way they make these things. So I did make a couple calls on it. It works just fine. People on the other end said they could hear me okay, although it was a little bit echoey and swimmy in some cases. I think there's some kind of active noise cancellation on the microphones. So if you're in a loud, environment, like on a bus or something, it'll attempt to cut out the background noise. And that might have been why it came through as a bit swimmy on some of the phone calls that I was on. But yeah, don't buy these for the microphones. They're totally serviceable in that sense, but not for recording purposes or something like that. Anyway, I think that's everything. That's a lot. I've been standing here talking at your face for quite a while now. those are my experiences with these earbuds. So now I'm going to summarize the pros and the cons of what I've just talked about. So if you're just skipping ahead from the beginning of the video, hey, you're at the part you want, the summary of the pros and the cons, before I give you my final verdict on Edifier's TWS5. And as usual, I like to start positive, so let's start with the pros. There's a handful of things that I really liked about these earbuds, and chief among them is the excellent battery life. 8+ hours of playback time on the buds is really impressive. That's 8 hours between charges. Other earbuds, true wireless earbuds that I've used in past, have barely made 4 hours, and even Apple's AirPods only reach about 5 hours of battery life, so 8+ hours is a really impressive showing for the battery life. And the battery reservoir, the case that you put them into, gets you another 3 full charges, which is pretty darn good. The second thing that I'd like to call out about these earbuds is their comfort. They are very comfortable to wear for long periods of time. I mentioned just a few moments ago my issues with the finicky fit situation. We'll talk about that in the cons. But in terms of just wearing them and comfort, I could happily wear these earbuds all day long without, my ears feeling uncomfortable or pained or anything like that. The third thing that I want to laud these earbuds for is their excellent connection, very strong connection. Like I said, I put my phone in my kitchen, walked all around my suite, wasn't able to break the connection once, never had an issue with it dropping connection at work. Overall, really strong, stable Bluetooth connection. And the final pro, and perhaps the most important of them all, is the excellent sound quality. As I described a few minutes ago, there's really good bass presence. It's very confident, tight, controlled, but forward bass without being overwhelming. You get nice, smooth, and detailed mids and bright, detailed, crisp trebles without them being too harsh or abrasive on the ears. As I described, the overall sound signature is what I would describe as very clear, very detailed, and it makes for a very pleasant listening experience across a variety of genres of music. But should you want to make these a little more punchy, a little less accurate or natural sounding perhaps, but a bit more fun, you can do that as well. They EQ quite nicely. For what it's worth, I use the Dolby Atmos EQ on my phone, and that does a great job of really boosting some of those frequencies to give them a little bit more punch, a little bit more drama, if that's what you like. But regardless, I encountered no issues with distortion or anything like that. So really fantastic showing in the audio quality department on the TWS5. Of course, every product has at least a couple of downsides, and the TWS5 are no different in that regard. Let's talk about a couple of cons that came up while I was testing them. The first, that micro USB charging cable. It's not a big deal, it's more of a minor nitpick, but it's 2019, guys, almost 2020. It's time to ditch the micro USB, get that USB-C in there. The second thing that I wasn't crazy about with these buds was the glossy black plastic construction. I think they'd really benefit from using matte plastic throughout, or even better, throw a little bit of metal in there. These are getting up into the price range where you would hope to see some more premium materials included, and glossy black plastic is not a premium material. It feels very 10 years ago to me, and in this case it is actually functionally a problem, because it means that the earbuds can be a little bit difficult to adjust, because those glossy surfaces pick up all the finger oils and they can get a little slippery, very fingerprinty, and of course very prone to aesthetic scratches and wear. So not a big fan of the glossy black plastic housings. The third con that I encountered was the touch controls were a little bit oversensitive. I did find myself accidentally pausing or playing my music sometimes when I was just brushing past my ear or something like that, or just going to adjust them. I prefer earbuds that require slightly longer press, or that require a double press to actuate the touch controls. and I found that these were a little on the sensitive side with that single press, just a mere brush activating them by accident. And finally, and perhaps most significantly for me anyway, I found that these buds had a finicky fit. Not to be comfortable, they were quite comfortable just popping them in, very easy to get a comfortable fit, but to achieve the best sound quality, because as I described a few minutes ago, when I got that complete seal, the sound quality was actually really poor. And I've never had that issue with other pairs of earbuds I've used, so I had to get it so that there was that seal and then break the seal just slightly and able to get the most out of the sound quality of these earbuds. I will reiterate that this could be a problem unique to me and the shape and size of my ears and ear canal and that sort of thing. I don't really know. I did go online a little bit and look around to see if anybody else was mentioning these issues. Nobody seems to be, so maybe it's just me. Your mileage may vary, but it is something that I found personally rather irritating and just unfortunate with this particular pair of buds. Didn't keep me from using them, still listening to them daily, but it was important for me to mention it here. Alright, so with all that talking out of the way, gosh, you've been staring at my face talking at you for ages now. With all that talking out of the way, what is my final verdict on Edifier's TWS5 True Wireless Stereo Bluetooth earbuds? Well, I think they are an excellent product at their price point. The standout points, including the excellent battery life and the fantastic sound quality, make them easy to recommend at the $80 price point. I think they're a great product right on the best part of that price to performance kind of curve before it starts to peter off into diminishing returns. And I know there's the audiophiles out there that'll tell me that I'm crazy, that, you know, if you don't spend at least $200 or $300 on your audio setup, what are you even doing? And I respect that. I get that. If you have the money to do that, go nuts. But for those of you looking for a really solid pair of true wireless earbuds that are going to get you through your day without running out of batteries, and that are going to sound really, really lovely across a wide range of genres, especially, as I mentioned, vocal performances and acoustic instruments came out really nice because of the natural and smooth and detailed sounding clarity of these earbuds. If that's what you're looking for, then I think the TWS5 are an excellent option, and $80 is a very fair price for them. And that, my friends, brings us to the end of another relaxing review. Special thanks, of course, to Edifier for sending over the review sample of the TWS5 that we looked at here today. And if you are interested in picking up these earbuds for yourself, there are, of course, links down in the video description and at the top of the comments. And don't forget, there's a 15% off discount code there that'll save you a bit of money as well. And of course, special thanks to all of you for watching. I hope you found this informative, and I hope you found it relaxing. And I look very forward to having you all back here next time for another episode of Relaxing Reviews. Bye for now, guys.